What's up, Flip Factor family? This is Michael Green with the Flip Factor Podcast, the #1 podcast dedicated to teaching you how to find and win high-profit flips and manage contractors so you can make more money and have freedom to do whatever the F you want. Today, I'm going to share with you how you can stop change orders on your flips. Now, change orders happen to be one of the most devastating reasons that people go over budget, over time, and really just end up not being able to make profits at a house flipper. So this tip today that I'm going to share with you with Delonte D'Souza, our host, it's going to be pretty awesome. So pay close attention. This one's really powerful, guys. Welcome, Delonte. How's everything going?
Pretty good. I feel like getting back into the rhythm of things, or probably getting back out of the rhythm of things because Thanksgiving is coming up. So
yeah, there's always distractions, man. Don't eat too much. Don't fall asleep, but get to work. So I'm going to work through Thanksgiving. Obviously I want to say that. I mean, you don't work during Thanksgiving? Like, you don't eat all day. Come on, man. You got to do a little work. I framed out a second floor of a house with one of my contractors on Thanksgiving morning about 6 years ago. And just because I wanted to see how the framing worked. I only worked for a couple hours. I was like done by 11, got there like 8:30, done by 11. And I learned a lot about framing. So these are cool things you want to do as a house flipper, because as I learned about that now, I've forever on have been able to hire framers because I understand the process. I even know how to do it a little bit myself now. Like, it's pretty simple once you learn from someone. So it was pretty cool. Good use of my time, right? Plus, I had to work a little bit of that food I was going to eat off the rest of the day. So I had to get a little bit of activity in the morning. I'm not saying work through Thanksgiving, just maybe squeeze a couple hours in if you want. So let's jump right in, man. We're going to talk about change orders, some pretty cool stuff. So change orders. I know you have a lot of questions. Delonte likes to just share some of the questions we've been having, and I get to answer them on the podcast and do a deep dive into them. And let's jump in and tell me some of the questions you've been getting around change orders.
Yeah, so a lot of investors and a lot of people in the Facebook group and things like that, they're talking about work with contractors. And this is more so the newer investors that I see more of. They always talk about how like they've gotten quotes from their contractors for one price, but then they get like this change order for all this work and things like that. And they don't really know how to control the budgets on their flips. First place I kind of wanted to start it off at was, what is a change order? Like what exactly is a change order? I know what a quote is. A lot of investors know what quotes are, but then when they get these things called change orders from contractors, they kind of don't know like what's going on. So,
well, let's start back. It started back in the 1600s, Delonte. Not just mess around back, but it was from the Latin word change. Now, so we're going to go into the simpler version of it. But so not everybody knows what a change order is. If you've done some construction, there's a really good chance you know what a change order is. If you've worked with a GC, you definitely know what a change order is. And if you're new and you're trying to get in the game, then pay close attention, because you will know what a change order is in the future if you don't structure your business properly. And change orders are the #1 reason people go over budget, go over timeline. They basically are the death touch to any construction person who is trying to flip houses. So as we're learning this, what a change order is, and this is probably, change orders for us are devastating, and for contractors, it's their go-to way to make money. So like, let's use Delonte as the contractor that we're hiring. So Delonte comes in and he's like, Mike, I can do your whole house. I'm a GC, and I'll do this whole house and get it ready to put on the market, per your like drawings and everything you want. And I'll do that for $50K. Now, Delonte, if he's a really smart contractor, knows how to bid at $50K, while others are bidding at 60 and 70 and 55, because he knows that he's going to be able to come back later and be like, well, we found some stuff behind the wall that we didn't include in the $50K budget, and that's going to be another $5,700. We found that the plumbing needs to be upgraded, and now it's another $2,000. Now we found this other thing that obviously the tree that was hanging over the house that wasn't in your $50K, that's going to be another $4K. Well, these are called change orders, right? So every contractor likes to build into their contract. That's why they're called contractors. They just basically like have contracts essentially, right? And they'll do work for contract prices. And now, but when they're really smart, which most of them are, even the stupidest ones know how to do change orders, because it's just the way they do business. It's actually a way they can go in and be really loose about the numbers, and then just, tell you what you want to hear now, and then actually tell you what you're going to pay later. Right. And so this is where the change order comes into play. If you've ever had an experience where your house was 50 and it turned into 65 or 70, which I've had that experience, by the way, so this is how I've learned, is there's always a lot of change orders involved. There's a lot of additional work that wasn't thought out in the beginning. So the reason I hate working with GCs is because they always have the expectation and the ability to use change orders. And I can't really run a flip business if someone tells me 50 and they come in at 60. because if I knew I was going to spend 60, I might not have bought that home. I might have made a decision to buy another home. So I can't really run my business very well if change orders are part of my life. So if you're new, the first thing you want to do is you want to get into some of our other podcasts where I talk about how to build out standardized pricing, structure to your business so that we can weed out people change orders. We want no change orders. We want to do all of our discovery up front when we're buying the home. So we want to really get in detail about the work being done. We want to understand construction. And once we understand all those things, then we take all the control of the contractor away, who's just basically, it's very nice that they're doing everything for us, but remember, they're doing that at a cost. And with the market being what it is today, it's nearly impossible to flip a house if you're using a GC and you're way overpaying for your construction. And then you're allowing change orders to, drive up your budget. My experience of people who are still using GCs right now, like a lot of people have come to me for coaching, people I've actually coached out of using GCs, is that they're paying anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 more for a GC and weren't getting good results. By the way, some of us could be like, you know what, I'll take 20K profit instead of 30K profit if someone would just handle it for me. Well, I wish it was that simple because I probably do the same thing. I never have to work again. The reality is 98% of the time, contractors don't even follow through with, at the 10K higher. So they're charging you more money, but they're still taking twice as long to do the work. They're requiring you to be way too involved because, they're constantly not doing what they say. This is why I hate change orders. Really simple. People ask you, Mike, how do you handle them? I don't allow them is how I handle them. I hold my contractors accountable to get it right from the start. And I write contracts with them that I personally take and do instead of letting them write the contract that say that there will not be any change orders. And this price includes everything necessary to get to the market. So if there's anything you don't know about, then make sure you put a contingency in this budget that's going to cover anything that we don't know about. And that way I can lock in my 50K price. And then if they're like, well, if that's the case, Mike, I need 55K. And I'm okay with that, right? I want to know that and that's working with a GC. The issue is with a GC, it's really hard to get them to commit to that. It's very hard to get them to do the work at the right price, to finish on time. They have a lot of moves. Change orders is just one of their masterful moves, but they've got many others. So I personally like to be my own GC. It's just, again, it's what all successful house flippers I've seen who are really crushing the game. They have taken and learned construction and they're doing it themselves, so stay away from the change orders, man. It's basically when they just come in to rob you. Your contractor calls and he's like, hey, what's up, Delante? Hold on 1 second. Let me get my ski mask on real quick. Hold on. Yeah. Okay. Now I got this mask on. Hey dude, look, we got this problem and it's going to cost a bunch more money. And then you're like, oh man, really? Oh, that sucks, man. How much more? All right, let me get my checkbook out, man. Cause I know you got a ski mask on and you're robbing me. Here's some extra cash.
Well, what's so funny about that? This is literally like the epicenter of like every HGTV flipping show. They're like, oh, we found like a crack in the drywall. That's going to be an extra $8,000 to your flip.
Yeah, it's a serious crack, Delante. Dude, that is every flipping show, and that's how they create drama. And the fact that, listen, I don't know if those flippers really allow that. They probably do, but it is really incorrect. And obviously we know that not everything in shows is accurate or perfect. I love flipping shows personally, so I've watched, nothing less than hundreds of them. I study them, I pay attention. The one area where I'm cussing at the TV and I'm yelling at the television is when they come in and it's like, yeah, that'll be another 10 grand and that'll be another 8 grand. I'm sitting there thinking, how in the world are you guys ever going to make money when you're allowing that? And what is it? What's the one? Flip or Flop? That's like the biggest one. Yeah. And that guy, I'm just like, dude, you need to step up, man. Sorry if you're listening, Tarek. I'm not trying to offend you, but you do need to step up, dude. You can't let these contractors take the money from you. And it's just how he rolls, man. And that's why every house he's like, it's going to be 80, but then it's 130. You can see it in real life. If you're running your business that way, good luck, man. House flipping will not be fun. I recommend going into like Amazon dropship, Forex trading. There's like a bunch of other get rich quick stuff out there. I would prefer you go into that. If you aren't willing to handle the contractors and do this, you will literally have the drama of like an HGTV show. And the problem with that is that like I can handle drama. I actually might even enjoy it a little bit. What I really can't handle is inconsistency in pay. I can't handle going 2 months and making no money because my contractor went way over budget, took too long. And then I do a flip that takes 5 or 6 months in and out. And next thing you know, I go look at the end result and I made like $8,000 and I was supposed to make 40, right? I can't sustain my business doing that. And I can't live. And most people that are really struggling as house flippers are really dealing with that at a high level. It's because they haven't taken control back. And honestly, I for years did this incorrectly and then had to learn. So it's pretty cool stuff. So one of the questions I think you were asking earlier is like, how do you handle change orders? Well, simple answer to that question. We don't allow them. We build out standardized pricing. We become our own contractors. So that way we know if we're our own contractors that we're not going to change order ourselves. We hold ourselves and our people accountable to be detailed in the work they're doing and then also be all inclusive in the work they're doing. So if they're like, you know what, I found some extra stuff in the attic that needs to be done as far as electric, then I'm like, okay, why didn't the attic has steps? Why didn't you climb up there and take a look? Like, so on this job, you know, I'm not going to pay you any extra, but you know, like in the future, you'll know that, like, because I put that in.
That's great advice for someone who isn't in that situation yet. But what about people who are working with a contractor right now for a certain job and they have a change order that, you know, they've been hit with, that they're kind of dealing with? How do you deal with that when you don't have those protections in place beforehand?
I mean, that's a really good question because honestly, you know, it's a tough spot. So I've had people ask me like, Mike, what do you do when you're in this spot? Well, my answer generally is like, you got to get out of that spot because like when you put yourself in an awful spot, there's no real good advice for you right now. I can tell you what to do. And like, if you're in a spot where you've agreed to pay a contractor and allow him to change order, well, you could fight it, right? And then make it, you know, and minimize it, but you're not going to get rid of it. There's no way he's going to not change order you. He's just going to walk away and you're probably going to default on money. And so you just have to ride it out and make the most out of it. Again, there's no simple solution to a bad situation other than in the future what you do, right? We can't control. We can only do our best in that, like, you know, say, hey, minimize and be very resourceful about the change orders because they're not going to be. They're just going to be like, oh, you got to replace all the wire. And you might be like, hey, is there a way I can replace half the wire? Couldn't we save this other half? And maybe now we can cut it in half. So you got to get very resourceful and fight with them and challenge them and be, you know, work on making the most out of your situation. But the real high level answer is you got to work on not being in those situations because if you constantly put yourself in unfavorable situations, it's impossible to win, right? That's the number one rule of game theory. Like when you put yourself in situations that have negative expected value, meaning that you will have a negative consequence in that situation. Well, you know, there's some times where you can actually get a positive consequence, but most of the time it's going to be negative. And because that game theory, that scenario always has a negative outcome, well, you can break the rules once or twice, but overall it's going to catch up with you. Right. It's like the tax man and death. They're all going to, if you can't beat them for so long, right? Eventually you can do biohacking, but eventually the Grim Reaper is coming after you, just stalling them a little bit.
If they got Wesley Snipes, they can get anybody.
Exactly. He couldn't even get away with it. And I used to love his Kung Fu movies. The guy can't even do movies now, and I don't get to enjoy any of them because he's like, can't make any money anymore. He's got to do movies for free for the IRS. So
Okay.
I don't end up like him.
Basically what you're saying is like if you do get yourself in that position, just try to come out with the least bad outcome, I guess. The best way.
Yeah, make the most out of the situation you're in and then make a very big commitment to change and transformation, right? Because everyone's like, you know, they get out of it and people make excuses for bad things. And when I say people, I mean me for many years, right? And I also mean everyone else. Like we're humans. We like to take our stuff and minimize it. Like, well, you know, he was only a little over budget. He's a good guy overall. You know, he's kind of getting it done. You know, I know he's supposed to get done in 8 weeks and it took, you know, 14 weeks, but you know, there was a lot of stuff that came up behind the walls and stuff that we didn't know about. See, that's completely out of control language, right? As a really high level, what I call the Yoda level house flipper, we control everything. Right? We know that everything, there's an equation to control and you can add chaos, you can add variables into equations and you can say, okay, there's going to be some things that go wrong, but they're part of the equation. And I have control when I make them part of the equation. When I say that the world is against me or I'm a victim or this just happened to me or I got unlucky, that's out of control. Right? We have no power. We've given all our power away to the contractor. We've given our power away to, you know, to the world. There's no way to live that way. I can tell you when my power was not, when I didn't have control of my own power and my own destiny, I couldn't sleep at night. Right? I couldn't sleep at night. And I did this because I'm stubborn and I still made it even though I was stubborn. But it wasn't until I took the power back that house flipping got easy and fun and I was able to travel. I was able to work 15, 20 hours a week instead of 60, 80 hours a week. And, you know, I was actually making a lot more money now too doing that. So all those things weren't possible until I had to make a big transformation myself from someone who was being too lazy to learn construction and too lazy to be my own GC to someone who's like, you know what, I'm busy, but I'll figure out how to do it in an hour a day. Right? If you're a full-time employee, you do it an hour when you get home. You're off at 5, you do it 5 to 6. You go to work at 9, do it from 8 to 9 in the morning, right? You do it from 12 to 1 on your lunch break while you're eating. Find a way, be resourceful. If you've got a bunch of excuses like, well, you know, I got this and I got that, okay, flipping might not be for you, right? Because flippers, the number one common denominator between successful house flippers is they're resourceful. They know how to make stuff happen. So if you're constantly finding yourself making excuses, the question is, who do you need to transform into in order to really be able to take control of your change orders, your construction, get things done on time and on budget? You have to become a resourceful person who has standards and who is willing to follow through with getting good enough to have complete control of their house flipping business. And this advice is, I would say it's even probably more powerful for people who have not flipped yet, because this is kind of you got to get real with yourself if you're going to be a house flipper. This is not a get rich quick overnight scheme. This is something that I've met, nothing less than just thousands of people have changed their lives with flipping or investing in rentals or any kind of real estate investing. And no matter what real estate investing you're doing, everybody has to understand the construction piece, because there's almost never a scenario where you're buying a house that's in perfect condition and just reselling it in the same perfect condition. We always get the best deals on houses that need love and need work. So that means we have to have the ability to do that work. And yes, you can wholesale, but if you don't understand construction, you're probably not going to do great as a wholesaler either. Some of the best wholesalers I ever met have flipped. You understand the math. They understand, oh, that's $60K in work. So when they're buying correctly, and they're able to sell things off and make really premium assignment fees, right? They're able to actually inspire some newbies to say, look, I think you were going to do it that way, but look, it'd be cheaper to do it this way. That's how you make the big assignment fees, when you have a little understanding. So at any level, you need to learn this. This is non-negotiable if you're going to be in the world of being a landlord, a house flipper. It's non-negotiable that you're just going to hire someone else to take your problems away. Think about it. If it was that easy, then truly everyone would do it, right? How hard is it to go find a good deal that needs a lot of work and then just go hire a contractor who's going to make magic while you sit on the beach in Costa Rica? It is very easy eventually. Once you understand the business, then you can do it. You just can't do it when you know nothing, because you're giving all your trust and you're allowing someone else to control part of your business that's just too valuable. What from there, man? Is that it? Or are we good on change orders or any other questions?
I think we covered it and then some, right? I think we went to some mindset, powerful stuff.
And honestly, change orders is a mindset thing, right? I did a coaching thing where I was helping out and I spoke in front of a group, and these are a lot of high level flippers in this group. And it was one of the number one questions they asked me was about the change order stuff, because they were all doing construction. They were like, well, how are you getting on budget? Because every time I create a budget, it gets blown out by change orders and stuff. What do you do about that? And when I started telling them what we were doing, it made sense to them, because they were like, that makes sense. I can understand now how I can control everything. I just was trying to delegate this off, which is what we hear from a lot of gurus, right? You got to delegate, but it's impossible to delegate something at a high level that you don't understand, which is truly what the E-Myth talks about, right? They believe that you should do something 8 to 10 times yourself, map it out, create a system around it, figure out the most efficient way to do it, and then you can delegate and hire it out. I believe that also. So I don't know if you necessarily have to do construction 10 times yourself, but you might want to manage 10 houses yourself before you get a project manager, or you try to get someone to do project management for you. Just no better way. This is how we keep the money in our pockets, and keep the profits in our bank account, and we sleep well at night. That's the best part of all of it, is sleeping well at night. When things are going poorly, I can't sleep. So I can't stand when things are not living up to the standards that I want to live my life by. It causes me not to sleep well. If you don't sleep well for a long enough period of time, then most people don't know. They think I'm in my 40s. I'm actually 21 years old, but due to my bad change orders, I look like I'm in my 40s.
Look like a zombie.
Delonte, he's been following the system. Delonte is 59, and look at him following the system, right? He looks great. So it will actually age you very early on if you're not following good systems. So we'll leave it at that. We'll close up. Delonte, thank you so much, man. Cool stuff. Great questions, by the way. And I know you got a lot of stuff that you're going to ask in the future. Delonte has been getting a lot of great questions through our coaching program, our Facebook groups. So stay tuned. We're going to go into this construction piece, because it is such a big thing right now. In our mastermind, we're actually doing a deep dive into construction for the next couple months with all of our students above and beyond our training. We call it Cracking the Contractor Code. So very cool, high level stuff. We do have some free trainings coming up on that as a webinar, where we can talk a little bit about some of the stuff we're finding and doing. You can find all that on our website, theflipfactor.net. And if you want to reach out to me about working with me to coach you and help you get your business going or get started as a house flipper, feel free to reach out to me at mike@theflipfactor.net. So I also want to give a big thanks to the Flip Factor family for joining us and how valuable your time is. Again, this is Michael Green with my semi co-host Delonte D'Souza. My work is done here, and yours has just begun. Get out there and win some high profit deals and crush some contractor problems, everyone. Have a great day and stay tuned.